Personally, my ideal take of 87546 is not Croven from Thomas 1, Edward 2, and Henry 3, or is from Cecil, the Holden B12 by Scholarboy 123. So, my ideal 87546 is just like 98462. He's also experimental. The story plays out is that it was during the 1920s, the Ivet C1 Atlantics, both small and large boiler locomotives, were struggling with express services. Apparently, the Atlantics were struggling so badly that the H3s were pulled in to help out. It was when Sir Nigel Gresley decided to design a 460 locomotive to combat the struggle the C1s were facing. And this is where number 87546 comes in. For some time, 87546 was able to hold off the heavy load. However, just like the H3s assisting the Atlantics, he wasn't enough. Entering the year 1922, Gresley has built and introduced a new class of locomotives for the GNR, known as the A1 Pacifics. With the GNR Gresley Pacifics being rolled out, 87546 was pulled out of express trains to take on local passenger trains. As shown in his records, he did well in those as well. Meanwhile, on the island of Sodor, with the failure of NWR 203 due to his small firebox, Sir Edward Topham Hatt I, as well as the railway's chairman, Sir Albert Regaby, or Lord Harwick, reached out to the GNR to trial two of their engines, an LNER A1 Pacific, known as Great Northern, and of course, their experimental 460, 87546. Now, you would think that in my ideal universe, 87546 was a massive jerk. Well, not all the time. He was rude to engines like Edward, but he did have a soft spot for small tank engines like Thomas, as well as giving high respect to GNR number 1470 Great Northern, who would later, in my ideal universe, become Gordon after he was purchased. In 1923, after the LNER was formed, 87546 would be sent back, now that the workload on the Northwestern has been cooled off. However, unlike his companion, 98462, who he highly respects, 87546 wouldn't be withdrawn early. Instead, he would be withdrawn in the 1960s, many years after BR was formed in 1948. So, a bit of a side note, you may notice that my ideal 87546 wears the GNR green. Well, to be honest, I don't think Sir Tom would be allowed to repaint the loaned engines into NWR liveries. But hey, who knows? Maybe he did get permission to repaint them into NWR liveries, or maybe he didn't. And if he were to come from the GNR, I think he would have kept his green paint. For me personally, it doesn't feel right for him to be in Northwestern blue. But hey, that's just me. And here's 87546 pulling the Walt Nor'Wester.